purchasing enslaved Africans from West African traders. The forced labor of Africans proved hugely profitable for Europe and its colonies. Slave owners did not pay their slaves, and the lifelong and hereditary nature of slavery guaranteed new generations of free labor. So these slaves would come over, they would have kids, and that would ensure that they would have slaves for years to come. In order to maximize profits for slave owners, working conditions for slaves in the colonies were often atrocious. Raise your hand if you know what atrocious means.
Doesn't it mean like terrible, like very bad and terrible?
Terrible, very bad, horrible. All right, Rowan, read the first bullet point.
12.5 million Africans shipped to the New World.
So, over 4 centuries, 12.5 million Africans were shipped to the New World, to Kenya. Second bullet point.
Approximately 10.7 million survived.
Out of the 12.5 million, only 10.7 million survived. Why do you think that is?
Hunger. Raise your hand.
Hunger, Brianna. Disease, Eli.
She just said it.
Disease.
The poor living conditions of the owners.
Good. Poor living conditions. Hunter.
They got like beat to death or something.
Beat.
Like whipped or something.
Third bullet point, Eugene.
388,000 taken to colonies and imprisoned in the United
So out of these millions and millions, 388,000 were taken to the colonies in present-day United States. Fourth bullet point, Lennon.
You might have to
Portuguese.
British, French,
Spanish.
Spanish, and Dutch were the main Atlantic slave traders.
Good. The slave trade drastically changed African societies. In the centuries before the Atlantic slave trade, mutually beneficial intercontinental trade was an important part of the African states' economies. Many of these relationships were replaced by the slave trade. So before the slave trade began, they had good relationships with the other countries, trading, getting stuff they needed, and giving them stuff they could use in return. When the slave trade began, it caused a lot of bad things to happen, especially in Africa. It caused destabilized states. It created an economic depression, and it led to wars. Go ahead and flip to the next slide. So this is what you